Hey everybody, happy hump day. I am so excited. We're doing a pop-up live today. Usually we have a live here at AMC once a month at the top of the month to share more insight and information about the program, anything that we have going on. But today we are going to be talking all about PCSing. And I was just sharing with those that are in the green room, which I'll be bringing up on stage here soon. I was just sharing that this entire idea of talking and having kind of a PCS fireside chat with these spouses kind of stems from the fact that we did the PCS 5-week series roundtable, our PCS series, PCS Your Business, Getting Your Life Together podcast on the Owning Up podcast. And so the goal of that was to really share how PCSing your business can affect your personal life. And I'm just kind of taking you on a journey for the last 5 weeks in preparation for moving corporation. So with that, we added our 90-day PCS roadmap so you don't lose your mind while you're PCSing a business, because it's so easy for things to fall through the cracks. And then we added an amazing Trello board, which keeps you kind of organized as you're going. And if you don't use Trello, but you use Monday or you use Asana, you can use those and just copy and paste them. So the whole goal of today is to really talk about and share experiences in different people from different stages of business, different types of businesses and organizations, and what their experiences has been, whether they have shut their business down, put it on pause, registered as a foreign entity, and just to share those ideas and insights of what worked for them and what didn't work for them. And so if you are just joining us, tell us where you're joining us from. Tell us if you are PCSing this season and what you are doing with your business. Are you putting it on pause? Are you hiring somebody to help you? Are you shutting it down? Are you registering it as a foreign entity? Let us know what you're doing in the chat so we can learn more about your business. So without further ado, I am going to bring up some of these lovely, amazing military spouses. We have Courtney Boyer, who is a relationship coach from Life and Relationship Coach. And she is also one of our at MilSpouse Creative community leaders. So hey, Courtney, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
We have Marla Bautista from the Bautista Project, and she is just a good. I love that she does that. You guys know Marla. And then we have, of course, Joni Zipperer, who is from Joni Zipperer Photography. Thank you for joining us. And then, of course, we have Sarah Kopp, who is our membership coordinator here at the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. And she is a military spouse and veteran and digital marketing strategist and agency owner. So guys, welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So before we jump in, I want everybody to tell me, is anybody here currently PCSing other than myself? Okay, Joni and I are the ones in the mud. Yes. And then has anybody here PCS their business already? Courtney? Okay. Okay, I have to. Great. So we have like a really great panel of people who are going to share information. So I want to just dive right in and get right to it. I want to hear from you guys. One of the biggest heartaches or things that you have encountered in PCSing your business, like what is something that happened that you've encountered and you're like, man, that was really tough. I wish I would have known that. And then share with us how you kind of got through that. And anybody can jump in. Let's start with Marla.
Okay, so I have essentially two businesses. I have BP Customs, which is an LLC. We make custom apparel and decor. And so that business requires us to have multiple printers, plotters, and lots of things that are over 500 pounds when you're PCSing. And so that was a really big hiccup for that business because I had no idea when I was PCSing that I was only allotted 500 pounds for my professional weight. And I was like, yeah, my printers alone way more than that. So that was kind of an eye-opening moment as a business owner for me. For my nonprofit, I have a nonprofit called the Bautista Project that provides for homeless community members. What I thought was best to do for my business was to shut it down and reestablish it in my new location. Well, like Moni was saying earlier, I came to learn that in order to apply for local grants, you need to be established locally for a period of time, which I wasn't. And so here I am shuffling through IRS determination letters saying, well, I was established in New York, in Colorado, in here, and there. And they're like, yeah, but how long have you been established here? And so that was something that I learned. I never established a foreign entity. I always dissolved and reestablished. And so kind of learned a lesson from that.
Yeah. And I think that is such, and I was just telling you, like, that's where I'm at right now. Do I want to start over? New Jersey's expensive, like workman's comp, like these. I'm like, what is happening? And so I'm just trying to weigh the options. But I don't think anybody, unless we have those conversations, know this. They just think, oh, but I've been in business. It shows my Facebook page was up, or I show taxes for all these years. And that is just something that we're not talking about, because a lot of our spouses are fundraising. A lot of our spouses are applying for grants, and having that established EIN number and credibility is so important. How about you, Sarah?
So I also, like Marla, had a product-based business. And so I was doing embroidery, and I ended up just sending it to my sister's house and having her manage it for me, because again, I was in that same boat where, the machine alone was over 500 pounds, not to mention all the other stuff. And then, so that business is in Pennsylvania. And then I have 2 additional businesses because of that, not wanting to dissolve and having to start over again. So I started a new entity here in Indiana, but I have one in Virginia. So I'm still paying both taxes. And so I just tried to like this will be my coaching business and this will be my agency. But again, I ran into the same thing looking for funding. I had to have 3 months established in the business bank account. And I didn't realize that my USAA bank account wasn't a business account. So for a year, I had been utilizing this dedicated account for my business, but it didn't count as a business because it wasn't in the business name. And oh, by the way, the business name changed. So it was just such a headache. But the one thing that I did out of Virginia is I was actually launching, I was in the 6th week of a course, and I didn't realize when I laid it all out that we'd literally be like boxes out of here. So my very last week, I was in a coaching, like sitting there, I remember on top of the big wardrobe boxes with my computer and no other like things. I'm like, this is moving day, and I am here coaching you the last day. Like, you can do it. Like, it was crazy. And I was just like,
you needed your own coach.
Yeah, right. I was like, what am I doing? But I wanted to over deliver, and I didn't feel like I could say, oh, sorry guys, like I'm moving. And I didn't think anyone would understand me. And so that's just like a couple different. So like when I went to do my taxes this past season, they're like, how many businesses do you own? And I'm like, five businesses is what I own technically. I mean, am I making money in all of them? No, but I'm collecting them because I feel like
trophies from every place you've worked.
So, the last 7 years of it, I've been a business owner.
Wow. I think you bring up a good point that we'll talk about in a minute, which is letting people know about moving and sometimes the shame or the anxiety of losing traction. I think that's a really big thing we can touch on next. How about you, Courtney? Tell us your experience.
Yeah, so we moved here here into Germany before COVID, and like right before it. And so most people were used to meeting face to face. So a lot of the clients that I had when we were at Fort Bragg in North Carolina were face to face, and like 95% of my business is referral. So I don't do any advertising. It's just like this person's sister, cousin, yeah. And so then when we moved to Germany, I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody here and nobody knows me. And like, how do I establish myself? And so that was a struggle because it's hard for people to trust somebody. And again, they weren't used to, oh, it's on Zoom now. It's this whole switch to online meeting and like teletherapy and telehealth has like significantly benefited my business. But that was hands down the biggest struggle. And it has been the biggest struggle because I've been in business for a while now, is anytime I move is losing that community and that internal. It's and like, these new people, they don't want to seek help from you or, coaching from you if you're like, I don't know who this girl is. Like
yeah, that's a big one, but boy, have the times changed, huh?
Right. Yeah.
How about you, Joni?
We are in the trenches right now as we speak. There are boxes and most everything is gone already, and we're moving to Germany, Courtney. So yeah.
Yay!
Yes, so excited. I started my business in Virginia in August of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. It was fun stuff, but it really got me through that time of isolation. I was like focused on something. I had something to keep me busy, so it was helpful. But so I started an LLC there, and then found out we were moving to Pennsylvania, which isn't really that far away. So I knew that I would probably still be working in Virginia. So I just kept the Virginia LLC and then created a foreign entity in Pennsylvania. That way I could work in both. I really had no idea what I was doing. I read what I could and tried to, and I called Pennsylvania and I was like trying to get their guidance, but I've been on the phone on hold with Pennsylvania for 2 hours before I jumped on this call and still didn't get a hold of anybody, trying to figure out how to dissolve or withdraw my foreign entity now that we're PCSing. So it's been very interesting. It's kind of all over the place. Now that we're moving to Germany, I am going to register in Florida because that's our home of record and that's where we're from. So I'm moving the LLC there, and that's already been created, approved, whatever they did. And so now I'm trying to dissolve in Virginia and withdraw the foreign entity in Pennsylvania. So it's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Don't you wish there was just like a way to check mark military spouse moving, upload the orders, and they're like,
give us all the breaks.
You're good wherever you want to go. You're good. You just keep it moving, like this imaginary place where we just dump all the spouses and their businesses. Wouldn't that be amazing? If you're out in the universe, you can solve that problem for us. Please let us know. But it just happens so much. And I hear so many horror stories, and I can hear your frustration when you're just talking. I mean, and I know that a lot of the government sites are not user friendly. Like government sites, state sites are like old. They're like from the 80s. I'm like, what is happening? Where's the funding going here? Like, let's update your website. So, wow. So that's so much great insight. So tell me, when Sarah was talking a second ago, and I'm actually in the middle of moving too. So, and I'm trying to decide if I want to just do the foreign entity because of the reasons I just said. Like there's grants that I qualify for and things that I'm in the middle of that I'm so fearful to lose those opportunities for the organization because of moving. And so, reading. And now I have to get an agent and like all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this is just going to cost me so much money. But in the end, it should be worth it. So I'm in the middle of it with you too, Joni. I get it. I'm not in the middle of it and going to another country because I know that is a whole different ball game.
I haven't even thought about that part of it yet, Courtney. I might pick your brain at some point. I've reached out to a few people. Yeah. Right now, I don't want to dissolve my business completely. I do know that. So I'm going to leave it in Florida while we're gone. And I think if you're just PCSing and it's not going to be a permanent move, I think the foreign entity is the way to go. Yeah. I didn't have any problems with it. It's been great. And I feel like, yes, I might have paid a little more money to do Pennsylvania and Virginia at the same time, but I was working in both states. Oh, wow. So I had a sales tax account in both states, and it was actually fairly easy. the terminology is so difficult sometimes, and the way they word things in each state is different. It's the same thing with everything else in the military. We all wish the states had just some kind of common ground with everything. Education, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, please just have the same system, same words, it would make it so much easier.
I mean, yeah, they would do us a world, but then it would be too easy for them.
That's
It
true.
would be too easy for us. Let's jump into another topic that Sarah brought up, which is like she didn't want to let people know like that she was moving when you were talking earlier. And I think I know from experience, I felt like that at some point when I had my PR agency. I was so scared to be off the clock and lose that momentum and traction. And but I feel like things were worse when I wasn't taking the time to really move and then put all my energy into working. So I felt really scattered. And that's just my experience. Just you have to be honest. And that's part of the roadmap that we created. It says, let your clients and the people that you work with or your community, your employees, your team members know that you're moving because it comes with the lifestyle. When they hire you, they know you're a spouse. When you're working with the community, you know that it's a military-owned community. So I think there just has to be that transparency and level of empathy that says, hey, I'm moving. It doesn't mean that we're completely shut down, but these are the measures I'm taking to ensure that you're being served as a client. And so maybe that means that there is a pause. But you know what? You can let them know ahead of time. I think respecting their time and money is the most valuable thing. And they're going to stay your client because you're saying, hey, you know, for these 2 months, I know you've already prepaid. We got these last minute orders. This is what I'm going to do for you. Like adding those things. So what is your experience? Has anybody moved and not told anybody? I know, Sarah, you have, but have you PCS and not told? And people are like, why haven't you answered your email for like 27 days? I mean,
well, I set up parameters this last move. We moved in June of last year. And the way that I did it, business was usual, but I hired a team of people to manage the day-to-day operations, which was very expensive, but worth it for me because we were doing a partial Diddy. We, the kids were out of school. We had pets. My husband was going right into his new job. And there was no, I had to unpack the house myself. So there was no that has been the MO of our every single move that we've done. And so I didn't really have any other choice, but knowing that I didn't have to jump right in and constantly be working when, I'm still, I don't even know if I was going to have internet at the time. So and we had a lot of things we needed to fix immediately in the home. So it was just that was the best choice for me. And quite honestly, it allowed me to step into that CEO role and not be the that full on operator of the business. I was able to kind of just be, the CEO and allow them to do the job that I hired them to do, which then allowed me to secure more clients. So if that's not possible for you, I would at least recommend finding a maybe even a low dollar virtual assistant who can help you or automations like Moni puts in the thing is just automating things so that you don't have to be there doing all the things. A lot of stuff can be batch work beforehand.
Yeah.
I agree with Sarah. I think for a product-based business, it's always best to kind of be honest and upfront. And I did that. And I just did a simple Facebook post saying, hey, we're going down for 2 weeks till we get internet back up. And then we're going to be up and running again. Now, there are some people that completely automate their business where they're continuing to post, where they have, they're using later to post on social media, and that's great. And then also doing the product-based business and having outsourcing their products to be completed when they move. I think that's great, but also I feel like, as a military spouse, we kind of need that time to kind of reevaluate and reestablish ourselves regardless of what type of business we have. So I honestly think that just taking that moment, whether you have a product-based business or a service-based business, is saying, hey guys, I'm going to take 2 weeks off. And, if you do have clients that are depending on you, schedule out something particular for them specifically. But taking time out to kind of reevaluate what that looks like in your new location. Because like Joni was saying, language here may not be the same language there.
Mhm.
Moving to different countries, changing your statuses, and then even having a foreign entity when you may not ever go back to that other place again. There's just so many things involved that you need to kind of look at and reevaluate and reestablish yourself successfully. And I think that a lot of times, I mean, everyone here owns a business, right? And I mean, as far as, I don't know about Courtney or Joni, but the rest of us are kind of serial entrepreneurs. We've moved, we've done all the things, we've made all the mistakes, and we're continuing, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's times where I literally just dropped off the internet for a couple of weeks, and everybody's like, what happened to you? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just had to move. And they're like, well, why didn't you say something? It's like Moni said, I didn't want to lose that momentum. I was afraid I was going to lose business. Mm-hmm. But we've got to be honest, this life is already hard enough without even having a business. So let's take time for ourselves, take time for our families, and let's take time to unpack our crap, Sarah. If we don't, we know what that looks like. We will be sitting on boxes, living out of boxes, looking for stuff and stressing. So don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and I know that when I moved here, I had like about 2 weeks where I didn't take any calls or anything, but I still was working. Like I was still working outside the movers. Yes. Room 2, room 4, basement. Like I was, still working, and I felt like it was not my best work because I was like split. Yeah. Right. Because I think when you're using your mom brain and your work brain, it's like 2 different things. And when you're trying to muddle, it becomes muddled. So, I mean, I do too. Like, I think, Marla, like people need to have more empathy and understanding. And if you're watching this and you're a military spouse who's about to move, or you're going to be moving, there is no shame in saying, I'm taking 2 weeks off, and that means that this is going to happen, but I'll be back this time or this date. And hiring somebody, like another thing in the PCS roadmap, we say like hire people to help you. Like Sarah, like, if you can hire a VA just to maintain the emails, that is important. Like the person can just check every day. If there's something that's fire that has to be tackled right then and there, then they reach out to you. Like if it's a money email, you're going to call me day or night. Doesn't matter what time it is, you call me. But it's like, would you like to be on my podcast? Would you like to do this collaboration? I have a question about this. Those can wait, And people that are coming in, one thing that I have been learning in this season is to say no to a lot of things that are not serving me or that are stretching me really, really, really thin. It gives me that type of anxiety feeling. Not a full-blown anxiety, but like, oh my gosh, thinking about this and looking at my schedule, I just have to say no. And it's okay to do that because we have to be able to perform at such a high level as military spouses and then business owners, that you have to be able to shut it off. So I also recommend when you move to just put your out of office on and shut off your calendar invites or your availability. So like mine now, I don't have availability till the end of July. I just said the end of July. This is the last week. I have 1 day that I've allotted for any phone calls or catch up. Other than that, I have to take this time to move. And we have this big series of roundtables with Meta that I have to prepare for. So there has to be that downtime. But yeah, I think we go from one place to the other really quick. And then our military member is right at the base in processing. Day 2. I'm like, what? You leave me here? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really love what all of you are saying. And what's one thing I'm seeing here, we have a really good family that we're close with, and they're about to PCS. And my friend, she said the hardest part about moving right now is not just managing my grief to move, but also the 4 other people's, grief to move. And I think it's silly. It's, I guess, the best word that comes up to mind for us to really not address that with our moves and how much emotional toll that it takes on us and how that affects us in our ability to show up in our business, especially for somebody like me who deals with emotions and people's problems and traumas. And, like people are paying for me to like be on my game and to have my energy and to really be like, and that's hard when you're in the middle of a PCS and going through and saying goodbyes and it's just a lot energetically. And so I think just giving yourself that space also, and honoring your family too, to be like, my kids deserve a parent, or my spouse deserves a partner that is able to be present with them as we are dealing not just with the physical stuff, but also the emotional and energetic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I didn't think about that part.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do that. The move from Virginia to Kansas, and I had like a 2-week just burnout session where I couldn't even function. I went to my sister's, she watched my kids. I barely got out of bed. I have never felt a level. And that was when I was launching that course. It was like at the very end.
That. Yeah.
And I couldn't get out of bed. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So that's why I was like, I don't care how much it costs me. I need to be able to have someone else take that off my plate, because there's no way that I'm doing that again. And this time it was very much, I think the month of June, July, and August, I was able to just kind of chill. And I was like, the answer the things that I could do, but like I got to sit by the pool. I got to explore. I got to have fun. And it was exactly the thing that I needed before my kids went into school, because I needed to be full and ready, because daddy was going to be moving on, like working all the time, and mommy needed to be on her game. And then, and I need to be 100% for the client. So like, you can't do that if you're pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah. And you really said something that I just thought about now. Before I started a business, I did that. I was like, let's explore. Daddy's at work. Who cares? The house is not packed up. We would go for the day and go to the beach or go to whatever like was the thing to do in that city. And then when I started my business, it just stopped, because I was like, I got to get this. I was on like automator mode. I'm like, I have to get this done so that I can continue my business. And that takes away from that part of being a military spouse and military family, is really embracing the culture, the new community, going and exploring, driving for hours, finding the farmer stand on this corner that has the best avocado. Like, those are the things that I have not been doing the past, probably I will say like the past 6 years, but I want to change that, because I think that's, like Sarah said, like that's where you fill up and then you can come back full charge. But, I know that the biggest fear is just the momentum and just, consistency. And if your family relies on your income, you're worried about that.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I feel like that those exploring times are one of the special gifts that we have as a military spouse. So we're getting to move to all of these new and exciting places all the time with our kids. And so you want to be able to explore, and my kids always, I try to find something that they can look forward to. This is going to be the greatest thing about living, wherever. And we want to go find out what that's all about. And that helps them through the process. But you're right. Owning the business has made it harder trying to juggle all the things at once.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Sarah hit the nail on the head when she was talking about cost. Everything will cost you, whether it will cost you money, whether it will cost you time, whether it'll cost you energy, everything will cost you. So I guess you have to prioritize which cost is important to you. Which costs are you willing to take? Which costs are you willing to sacrifice? For me, there's been times when I've been able to use the money and spend the money and sacrifice the finances to do that. There's been times when I've been able to sacrifice time, but now, like Moni said, the kids are getting older. My kids, I have a teenager. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but my daughter's 10 and she's a teenager. So she's a teenager. She's like, I'm bored. What are we going to do? I'm bored. Everybody's bored.
You hear these bleach wipes.
Yeah, we're not doing that. And so it's like, but when you get to that new place, you want to explore. You want to go find out what life is all about. And traveling is one of the best benefits of living a military lifestyle. And I always tell everyone, if you get the opportunity to go overseas, do it.
Right.
Go travel, because you may not ever have the opportunity again. There's not many people in America that can say, you know what, I lived in Germany for 3 years and I got to visit all these different countries and learn the language and eat the food and make friends from, other places. And that is a unique part of our lives. And so when we accompany that with the stress of owning our own businesses and moving those businesses, it takes a toll on us. And so, I think the moral of the story is take a time out, take a pause, reestablish, revisit, reevaluate, and kind of move forward the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. With your cup full and the information you need, and then know that there are people out there that help you. And this has just been like, I needed this for myself, because it's like a reminder, because AMC is on such a fast moving train. And so I am taking pauses, but I need to make sure that I'm embracing the moments. And that's something I talked about the last podcast. I was like, I'm not really enjoying the moment of moving. I'm just like trying to get through it and trying to just push through it. And regardless if I like try to rush through it or if I embrace the different changes as they're coming and remember them and be in the moment, it's still going to happen. So I might as well do it happy than like rushing through it, because it's still going on. So this has been so, so good. I love it when we are able to pull voices and experiences from our network and community of different spouses in different areas doing different things, but still have the same underlining type of struggles. And that's what I really love about our community. So I just want to thank you guys for being a part of my day today, and everybody who's watching and listening, because we'll be putting this on the podcast, because I am sure if you're listening or watching or catching a replay, you have learned something, you've been inspired, motivated, and you no longer feel alone in this, which is the biggest part of this. So thank you guys for joining me. Any closing remarks?
You're not alone. We're all stressed out.
We're going to make it through one more PCS. We can do this.
You can. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you got it. You deserve it. Take a break when it's not a weakness to ask for help.
Yeah. Oh, that one's so good. Sarah?
Yeah, I would just say you are worth it. So spend the money, take the time, do what you need to do to fill you up, because there's only one of you and you need to be everything for everybody, but you need to look and say, who's watching out for me? And that's you. That's you. So
our kids, our families, and our clients, they need us to be at our best.
Yeah. And my biggest thing would be, what is meant for you will be there, whether you continue or you take a break, because it's ordained for you and only you. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate your time. And if you guys are joining me here, I just want to say thank you for joining us. Tell us your experience in the chat. Reply, ask us any questions. If you have a question for Marla or Courtney or Joni or Sarah, I'll make sure it gets to them. And make sure to connect with us and let us know what you're doing and how you're doing during your PCS. We have a Slack channel that you're able to connect. If you need to hire somebody or you need advice, you can head over as well and hire somebody from our directory in the Military Spouse Entrepreneur Guide. There's over 950 spouses in there that you can find a VA, an assistant, a digital marketer, anything that you need there, as well as head over and listen to the last 5 weeks of PCSing your business without losing your mind, is what I keep saying. Download the guide, download the 90-day PCS roadmap, and just remember everything that was said here today and give yourself grace. And you've got this. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye.